If you've ever thought to yourself, this is going to be a good year, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Tuesday, January 6th edition for 2025. We got some more news flow regarding everything that's going on. I know our macro theme here is about oil and everything that's going on in South America. More news on that. CES has started, so the AI trade likely to be in focus. We've already had the keynote from Jensen, which we're going to cover and go over here today. It's a T3 Tuesday. We are rolling right along with 2026. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Tuesday, January 6th, 2025 begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope that you had a wonderful rest of your Monday evening. I know I was a bit lost with Monday Night Football being done, or at least for the regular season. I know we have a playoff game next week. But with Monday Night Football being done, I was a little bit lost yesterday. So hopefully y'all had a great end to your Monday. We're back for Tuesday here today and another market day, and it is going to be an exciting one. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Brent is first here today. Big Hurt, good morning. Welcome back, boss. Hopefully you had a great day. It's good to see you again. Cad Monkey, good morning. Welcome back. Market Sniper, good morning. Happy New Year. Just really quickly, Larry David has a bit where it's not acceptable to say Happy New Year after, I think, January 4th. It's either the 3rd or the 4th. I can't remember exactly what day. How do you feel about that? My thought is, look, I don't see everybody every day. I'm going to be positive and wish people a Happy New Year. So despite this being January 6th, Market Sniper, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for spending some time with us and welcome back. Let me know what you think. When is it acceptable? When's the cutoff for saying Happy New Year? I'm pretty sure I've said Happy New Year to somebody in February. Just saying. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. Cam, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. GB Slice, good morning. It's great to see you again. Lost my place there. Wow, that jumped all the way to the bottom. That was stupid. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Peter says, good morning. Wish I was at Vegas for CES. Peter, me too. Probably wouldn't be doing much work if I was in Vegas, though. Just saying. Probably be in the sports book. The NFL playoffs and college basketball in full swing here. But if anyone is at CES, let us know what you think. Zach McCracken, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Richard Judge, it's great to see you as always, boss. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Matthew, good morning. Austin, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Kevin, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Hopefully you're well, Kev. Big Sean, Honest Gangster in the house. How about Honest? We trimmed some more yesterday, by the way. Told you folks that the two good till cancel orders that I had out there to trim more was at 12 and 15. Well, we hit 12 yesterday and we made a high at 12.54. So that was pretty sweet. One of the things I said yesterday on Happy Hour is I'm so glad that others are making money off of this. This is something that has been a long time thesis for me. It's made me look stupid for a number of years as it didn't work. And then when it started working, boy, did it ever. So really happy to see others make money off of this too. This one gives me a lot of pride, no doubt. Market Sniper, so host was asking, drop some suggestions for the type of countdown music you guys want. I was listening to that. I was like, I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was like. But it did sound familiar. Market Sniper suggests the final countdown. Don't think we can do that. Wisdom, good morning. Welcome back. Let's see. What else do I got here? Sam says, good morning. 43 years ago today, a legend was born. It's me. I'm the legend. Oh, my gosh, Sam, happy birthday. You share a birthday with Joe Kernan from CNBC and Anthony Scaramucci, one of the guests that they bring on there. So, and I love the energy. A legend was born. Sam, that is awesome. Happy birthday. Thanks for spending some of your birthday with us. Appreciate that. Carlos, good morning. It's great to see you again. H&H Tactical, good morning. Very Dune count. Yes. Oh my God. I was just saying I couldn't quite place what it was. That's the best description I've heard. H&H Tactical, let's get it. Let's get it. You're right. That is very Dune-like. Jay Harris, good morning. It's good to see you again. Who am I missing here? Bernhard, good morning. Wiss, good morning. Marty, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Durkis, good morning. Just Some Guy, good morning. Day Trader and Lion Atlas, good morning. Who else we got here? Castle, Best Life, and Yassine. Yassine says, new headphones. Nope, these are the same headphones I've had for a while. Bayer Dynamics DT990 Pro. They are awesome. Got to have a powerful sound card though, because they're 120 ohm. Work Life, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. Marionette, good morning. I'm back from the dead. We don't want you to die. Glad you're here. Welcome back. Born to be Free. Good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Alexander, good morning. Who else do I miss? Ed, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Who am I missing? I'm not missing people. I'm not going to miss anybody. Neville, good morning. It's good to see you again. Martin, good morning. Happy New Year. Good to see you again as well. Lion is the Grinch today. He says the cutoff for, never mind. I got to keep reading. Lion says the cutoff is December 31st of 2026 this year. So I can say Happy New Year all year long. I'm glad I got permission for that. Bob, good morning. Happy New Year and welcome back. Zabeth, good morning. It's great to see you. EDP Code, good morning. Maverick, good morning. Victor, good morning. Johnny, good morning. Frank, good morning. Let's see, who else am I missing here? 08 Roush Stage 3. By the way, what a call on SOC. That call has been working. Thank you for sharing that with the group and adding the context. Good morning. Welcome back. Lost Penny, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Ed, good morning. Who am I missing here? I think we got them all. C Boogie, good morning. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. Matthew, the Veggie Girl, and Brandy, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures a bit mixed here this morning. S&P futures up 0.05%. Dow futures down 0.07%. And the NASDAQ leading the way higher there at 0.23%. Also worth noting, we might as well check in oil while we do this. Oil also up 0.5%, up 29 cents at the time of this reading. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session. Energy, financials, and consumer discretionary material stocks posted the largest gains on Monday, while consumer staples and utilities defied the rally to close lower. The other thing we saw is that Goldman Sachs yesterday, just an absolutely huge rip. That actually added the most to the Dow yesterday. Going forward here on Monday, overall, U.S. markets did finish higher, with the Dow Jones jumping nearly 600 points to a fresh all-time high. That was following the weekend arrest in Venezuela that resulted in the capture of President Nicolas Maduro. This comes amid Donald Trump administration plans to meet with top oil industry executives later this week to discuss boosting Venezuela's oil output in a U.S.-led effort. That was according to Reuters. We'll go ahead and talk about that here in a little bit. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.17%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.45%. Now, we do have several stocks in focus here today. First one's going to be CoreWeave. This is ticker CRWV, and shares rose 1.87% in the pre-market on Tuesday as it announced plans to add NVIDIA's Rubin platform to its cloud services. Vistra is the next stock on our list. This is ticker VST. Vistra rose 4.13% as it executed an agreement to acquire Cogentrix Energy from Quantum Capital for approximately $4.7 billion. Microchip Technology is our next stock on the list. The ticker is MCHP. And that advanced 3.19% after the company said it expects third quarter fiscal 2026 net sales of about $1.185 billion, which is above its previous guidance range of $1.109 to $1.149 billion. The next stock on our list here is Galapagos, not the islands, the ADR. Ticker is GLPG, and shares climbed 5.99% after it announced that its board has decided to initiate the winding down of the company's cell therapy activities following a comprehensive strategic review. The last stock on our list here today is going to be AAR. The ticker is AIR. Yikes. That was 0.77% higher, as analysts are expecting it to post quarterly earnings of $1.04 per share on revenue of $761.13 million. The company will release its earnings today after the market closes. All right, let's dive into the SPY and see where we stand here today. Now, yesterday, I told you that the SPY formation really kind of felt like we were going to trade up. And I still feel that way. Yesterday, we made a high of 689.43. I still think 690 is going to be one of those upside levels there. I had talked a little bit about this kind of makeshift triple top, this resistance area that really kind of comes in at 690. We'll see if we can snap that. One of the other things I've done to the chart is I have extended the channel that we were in since the Liberation Day unwind. My thought here is we basically traded sideways out of this channel. Technically, the day we broke the channel, we did trade down, but the price caught itself at the 100-day and really just kind of moved sideways while the channel kept going higher. So part of me wonders if we get a rally, if this channel is going to come back into play again. Maybe the price trades back into the channel. Maybe it uses the bottom of the channel as a resistance area. So I basically extended it there so I can keep an eye on that track that we were in for most of 2025. As far as downside targets, one of the other things that we've added here is a recent trend line that should act as support. This trend line originates at the November 21st low. That was where the SPY bounced off the 100-day moving average last. And it connects through the low of December 17th and then the low here of New Year's Eve / Friday, January 2nd, whichever day you view that as the low there. So this to me is going to be a key level. If I look at the number here for today, I've got that at about 683.5. So we'll see if that ends up providing any support or if our next move is in fact higher. Worth noting that the 684 is right where that 20-day is. We've been looking at the 20-day every day to kind of confirm what range we're in and all of that. So this is where we sit with the SPY. We'll see what kind of day we have here today. The other thing that's worth noting is that the market is up off of the lows. If you look at a chart that has the entire overnight session, we actually, on the S&P futures, we actually bounced off one of the pivots this morning. So we're up off the lows, but really not making any substantial gains just quite yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Professor Jeremy Siegel maintains a positive outlook for 2026, assessing that the market enters 2026 on a fundamentally solid footing. He notes that the economy is carrying meaningful forward momentum into the new year, citing strong GDP tracking and a resilient holiday spending. Siegel remains constructive for the year on equities, driven largely by robust AI investment and accelerating productivity. We'll talk about that here in a sec, too. He emphasizes that higher productivity is disinflationary, not inflationary, which should allow real growth without forcing the Federal Reserve to tighten policy. In fact, Siegel argues the Fed has room to cut rates by another 50 basis points by mid-year because there's no evidence of excess liquidity given subdued money supply growth. I'm not sure where I sit with how many more cuts we're going to get by mid-year. My gut feeling is that while Powell is still around, and remember his term is up in May, while Powell is still around, probably not going to see any more cuts. That would be my gut feeling, but we'll see if that changes. While acknowledging January risks like potential government shutdowns and tariff rulings, Siegel concludes that the underlying fundamentals continue to favor a positive investing backdrop for 2026. Creating a supportive environment for stocks, even if valuation expansion is limited. Now, we really don't have any upcoming economic data today. We do have Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin speaking at 8, and December's S&P final U.S. Services PMI out by 9:45. I'm not expecting a whole lot of movement on either of those prints. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about CES, because that's probably the big thing that's happening this week, at least as it pertains to technology. And we had the keynote given by Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CEO, last night. He says the Blackwell successor, whose name is Vera Rubin, is in full production at CES. He outlined a sweeping vision for AI's next computing cycle, confirming that the company's next generation Vera Rubin platform is already in full production. Hang on a sec. All right, I'm sorry. I try not to do that, but my nose was not cooperating with me. Anyway, taking to the stage at a packed Fontainebleau Las Vegas venue. By the way, really quickly, just as an aside here, has anyone stayed at the Fontainebleau in Vegas? I've stayed at the Fontainebleau in Miami. It's one of my favorite hotels ever. Also appears in the opening scene of James Bond's Goldfinger, but that's another story. Let me know if you've actually been to the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. Very curious to see how that venue is. Nonetheless, Huang said the computing industry is undergoing a once-in-a-decade transition, and this time, two shifts are happening simultaneously. Applications are now being built directly on AI, and the process of building software itself has fundamentally changed. He made a fashionably late appearance in his signature leather jacket, which was shinier than usual. I didn't know people kept track of that. LOL. Greeted the crowd with a New Year's wish and immediately launched into NVIDIA's success in scaling AI, pushing it towards agentic systems and teaching the laws of nature and beyond. Huang said the computing industry undergoes a major transformation roughly every 10 to 15 years, with each shift ushering in a new platform. This time, two transitions were happening at once. Applications are increasingly built around AI, and the process of developing software itself is being fundamentally redefined. Huang traced AI's evolution from early neural networks to transformers, and today's large language models, arguing that the next phase extends well beyond text-based systems. Now, really quickly, this is something that we have kind of talked about a lot. Like, the AI thing is great. We trade it here because we're active and it's moving and there's news flow and all of that's great. But really, at the end of this, don't we want to see something more impactful than chatbots? Looks like he's setting the stage for that here. He emphasized the rise of agentic AI models capable of planning, reasoning, and acting autonomously over time. Quote, large language models isn't the only form of information, end quote. Huang goes on to say, whether the universe has information, whether the universe has structure, we could teach a large language model. Where the universe has language and where it has structure, we can teach it in LLM. That includes what NVIDIA calls physical AI, systems that are trained to understand and interact with the real world using the laws of physics. A major theme of the keynote was NVIDIA's bet on open AI ecosystems. Remember, we are expecting an open AI IPO later this year. Huang said open models are now roughly 6 months behind proprietary frontier models and continue to close the gap. According to Huang, about 80% of startups are building on open models, and a significant share of AI usage across developer platforms now relies on open source systems. NVIDIA is releasing not only its models, but also the data and lifecycle tools used to train, evaluate, and deploy them. NVIDIA highlighted its Cosmos World Foundation model, which generates realistic simulations and synthetic data to train robots and autonomous systems. Huang said NVIDIA uses Cosmos internally for self-driving development. The company also unveiled AlpaMayo, an open-sourced reasoning and decision-making AI for autonomous driving. Huang said it allows the vehicles to learn from limited real-world data and handle unfamiliar scenarios, perhaps like traffic lights being out, for one. NVIDIA's open models are also rapidly closing the gap with frontier systems, topping leaderboards in areas like OCR, PDF comprehension, and natural language search, and more. Now, of course, robotics has been a big theme tied to AI, as well as its own theme at one point. At one point during the keynote, Star Wars BDX droids entered the stage, fully autonomous, powered by NVIDIA's Cosmos. Huang was clearly enjoying a lively back and forth with the droids. This is good. The future is going to be fun, folks. NVIDIA is also teaming up with Siemens, signaling a major leap forward in manufacturing as NVIDIA's physical AI uses synthetic data from digital factory twins to train next-generation robotics. Huang confirmed that Vera Rubin, NVIDIA's next-generation AI supercomputing platform and the successor to Blackwell, is now in full production. The system delivers up to 5 times the performance of Blackwell while improving efficiency, memory bandwidth, and interconnect speeds. Vera Rubin integrates advanced GPUs, custom CPUs, high-speed networking, and full-stack encryption, and is designed to address what Huang's called AI's next major constraint: context and data movement. Quote, NVIDIA Rubin platform, the successor to the record-breaking NVIDIA Blackwell architecture and the company's first extreme code-designed 6-chip AI platform, what a mouthful, is now in full production, the company also said later in a blog post. Vera Rubin also integrates NVIDIA's Connect X9 Spectrum X Super NIC and can be assembled in just 5 minutes compared to the roughly 2 hours of the previous systems. The entire platform is water-cooled. An NVLink 6 switch enables all GPUs within Vera Rubin to communicate simultaneously. Huang said the system is fully encrypted and enhanced security and uses hot water cooling at around 45 degrees Celsius, a counterintuitive approach that he noted significantly reduces energy costs. Interesting. At the beginning of Vera Rubin presentation, Huang also referenced astronomer Vera Rubin, who observed that the outer edges of the galaxy were rotating nearly as fast as their centers, a breakthrough that led to the discovery of dark matter. Huang said NVIDIA will name its next computer in her honor. That's really awesome. As a physics nerd myself, I think it's really cool to hear stuff like that. I like this. I already like the Vera Rubin chip. NVIDIA, by the way, shares were down 0.39% during Monday's regular session, slipped another 0.069% in after-hours trading. NVIDIA, last I looked here this morning, NVIDIA closed at 188.12. It is currently trading at 189.55, so it looks like it's trading up a little bit. The one takeaway that I have from this is that I really do think we're seeing continued rotation out of big cap tech. This is a theme that we have been talking about last year. We expected to continue into 2026, and it looks like so far that's exactly what we're getting. Now, next year, we talked a little bit about the robo-taxis, but I wanted to dive into that a little bit more here. NVIDIA is intensifying its push into autonomous driving, signaling ambitions to play a central role in the robo-taxi market and directly challenge Tesla's long-term autonomy strategy. At CES 2026 on Monday, NVIDIA said it's working with robo-taxi operators to deploy fleets powered by its AI chips and Drive AI software as early as 2027. Jinzhu Wu, NVIDIA's vice president of automotive, said the company expects to enable level 4 robo-taxis by that time, which are vehicles capable of operating without human intervention in defined areas. While NVIDIA has offered autonomous solutions since 2015, this segment remains a relatively small part of its business. Still, CEO Jensen Huang has identified robotics and self-driving technology as NVIDIA's next major growth engine after AI infrastructure. He's not alone in that. Obviously, Tesla and Elon Musk are doing the same thing. To accelerate adoption, NVIDIA is introducing new hardware and software aimed at simplifying autonomous system development. Its Drive AGX Thor automotive computer, priced at roughly $3,500 per chip, is designed to lower research costs and shorten development timelines for automakers. The company also unveiled Alpamayo, an open-sourced family of vision language action models that integrate perception, reasoning, and action into a single system. Mobility leaders and industry experts, including Lucid Group, ticker LCID, JLR, Uber Technologies, ticker UBER, and Berkeley Deep Drive, are showing interest in Alpamayo to develop reasoning-based AV stacks that will enable level 4 autonomy. Huang said the industry has reached what he describes as the ChatGPT moment for physical AI, marking a turning point where machines can understand, reason, and act in real-world environments. He noted that robotaxis are among the earliest beneficiaries of this shift, as NVIDIA's Alpamayo platform enables autonomous vehicles to reason through rare edge cases. This is definitely something that I think is missing so far. It'll be interesting to see if NVIDIA can successfully execute on this. Also, operate safely in complex settings, which to me feels like most city driving, and explain their driving decisions. Capabilities can be framed as essential to building safe, scalable autonomy. NVIDIA's robotaxi strategy also targets fleet-based competitors such as Alphabet's Waymo. The company recently demonstrated its system in 2026 Mercedes-Benz CLA driving through San Francisco, currently classified by NVIDIA as level 2++, comparable to Tesla's FSD. NVIDIA aimed to reach point-to-point self-driving for consumer vehicles by 2028. Meanwhile, Tesla faces mounting scrutiny. Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki said Tesla will not achieve level 4 or level 5 autonomy without addressing hardware limitations, not just software. Tesla also revised its full self-driving disclosures, clarifying that the system does not provide autonomous capability and requires constant human supervision. Lisa Su also talking at CES here. She said AI is entering the Yoda scale era, predicts a massive increase in global compute demand far beyond data centers. So again, we talked a lot about the AI theme, compute theme, and all of the stocks tied to it, continuing into 2026, and Lisa Su giving us confirmation of that, at least so far. At CES 2026, Advanced Micro Devices CEO Lisa Su laid out a sweeping vision for the next phase of artificial intelligence, offering a clear and much-needed signal that the global demand for new compute resources is only set to accelerate going forward. During the keynote speech at the event on Monday, Su said that the world is entering what she called a Yoda-scale era of computing, a period in which deployment of increasingly powerful AI models will require an unprecedented expansion of global computing capacity. Quote, this moment in tech not only feels different, AI is different, end quote. She goes on to say, AI is the most powerful technology that has ever been created, and it can be everywhere for everyone. Meeting that demand, Su emphasized, will require a far broader computing footprint than previous technology cycles. She said it will involve solutions from the largest systems in the cloud to AI PCs to embedded computing. Su stated that the transformation cannot be achieved in isolation. It takes an open ecosystem built on industry standards, and adding that the future of AI will depend on collaboration across the entire technology sector. Jensen, in his I think it's his interview with John Fort, says we're the only company to work with every AI company. So sounds like Jensen and Lisa here are both on the same page there. Su's comments come amid growing concerns regarding a potential slowdown in multi-billion-dollar AI spend spree in recent years. While the big tech companies are showing no signs of slowing down their AI capex, analysts believe the power shortages and financial constraints can create a hard cap on how fast they can deploy new infrastructure to meet soaring demand. Last week, Perplexity AI CEO Arvind Srinivas echoed a similar theme, warning that the rapid advancement of embedded AI could eventually upend the traditional data center-centric model. As intelligence becomes increasingly compressed and capable of running directly on devices, Srinivas said that the need for centralized inference could shrink dramatically. Quote, the biggest threat to data center is the intelligence can be packed locally on a chip that's running on the device, end quote. Shares of AMD were down 1.07% on Monday, closing at 221. That's currently at 222.5 here in the pre-market. So that too is trading up a little bit from yesterday's session. Okay, now we talked a little bit about productivity. And as I always say, I'm going to try and give you both sides here. Here it is. An experiment shows that AI tools, widely touted as productivity boosters, may actually slow down experienced software developers instead of speeding up their work. Say it ain't so. In July 2025, in the study conducted by nonprofit research group Model Evaluation and Threat Research, abbreviated as METR, 16 software developers with an average of 5 years experience completed 246 tasks, half with AI assistance and half without. Developers used tools such as Cursor Pro and Claude 3.5 and 3.7 Sonnet. Participants had expected AI to reduce task time by 24%, but instead, tasks completed with AI took 19% longer than those done without it. Quote, well, I like to believe that my productivity didn't suffer while using AI for my tasks. It's not unlikely that it might have not have helped as much as I had anticipated, or maybe even hampered my efforts. That came from Philip Burkhart, who wrote that in a blog post. Couple of double negatives there. Basically, surprised, like all of this stuff that's supposed to help us, actually we do so much checking of it and interacting with it, it actually does not increase productivity. I think the one takeaway from this that I have is that there's absolutely no substitute for real knowledge. If you are good at what you do, I don't care if it's orthopedic surgery, trading, or tending a garden, or anything in between. If you're good at you do, that's really going to determine how successful you are, what speed you can do that with. AI is a tool for help. It is not a tool to replace knowledge. And I think that, we've talked a lot about job losses, AI, what it's going to do, the whole 9 yards. I really think there's going to be a humongous advantage for those that actually learn traditional ways or learn how to do things the right way, as opposed to just building off of an AI tool. There's definitely spots for AI to help, especially when it comes to remedial tasks. But I think this study here is showing that those productivity, it's not a linear thing across the board. I guess that's what I'll leave it with. Researchers attributed the slowdown to AI's lack of project context. That was reported by Fortune. That means it's fixable. Developers often had to adapt and debug AI-generated outputs, write prompts, or wait for results. Quote, AI outputs that are generally useful to them, developers have to spend a lot of time cleaning up the resulting code to make it actually fit for the project, And that said the study author, Nate Rush. Last year, studies showed AI tools boosted productivity in some cases, but also created challenges for employees. Anthropic's study found Claude Code helped workers complete more tasks and delegate up to 20% of the repetitive work, but collaboration declined, skills eroded, and some feared AI could make them irrelevant. I think this is the big kind of fear here. A separate study of 25,000 Danish employees using AI chatbots between 2023 and 2024 found no significant changes in wages or hours worked, suggesting generative AI like ChatGPT had yet to deliver broad productivity gains and sometimes added extra work. Senator Bernie Sanders warned that AI should benefit workers, not just billionaires. Just so tired of that trope, citing predictions that it could eliminate half of entry-level white-collar jobs within 5 years. So again, takeaway here, there is really no substitute at all for actually learning the material and doing the best job you can at it. And again, I don't care what that is. Could be gardening, could be toy making, could be trading, or anything in between. All right, folks, it is a T3 Tuesday. You know what that means. We're going to bring on one of our favorite T3 guests. Please welcome, I got to find the bumper there. Please welcome Derrick Oldensmith for his first appearance here in 2026. Derrick, good morning. How are you? And Happy New Year.
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year. I'm doing great. Trading's off to a great start this year. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. In fact, my opener for the show was, if you ever thought that this was going to be a really good year, because like you just said there, trading has been, I know we've only had a couple of sessions so far, but it's been absolutely awesome. I'm thrilled that you're back to join us because I want to ask you, and I'm just going to dive right into it here. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to get so excited, I'm going to forget to read again. Folks, trade with Derrick all next week for free inside his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, January 12th through the 16th. All right. What is new for you in 2026 and what are you looking into? I know it's broad. Go anywhere you want with this.
Sure. So to kick off 2026, we're really seeing that January effect come into play. And it's interesting because usually they front run that a little bit at the end of December. And this year they did not at all. So I started looking in like the last week of December to see if we could start to get a snapback rally in some of these beaten up meme stocks. And make no mistake about it, I'm not believers in a lot of these companies, but a trade is a trade. So I started looking at, some of these nuclear names like SMR and OKLO. I started looking at some of these crypto names, and I'm really not a crypto believer at all, but the IBET ETF or MSTR to see if these things could snap back a little bit, or Quantum, QBTS, RGTI, rare earth names, all those kind of meme stocks, and JOBY even, which is kind of a legacy short that I've been battling back and forth for a long time. But I really thought that we would see some sort of an effect in the last week of December carrying through the beginning of January, where you see some of these traditionally, not so great companies, pre-revenue companies that have been beaten up for months, get a nice snapback and maybe the beginnings of some selling in some names that had performed really well in some of the Mag 7 stocks. And you had to be patient for it because they didn't front run the trade. They literally waited until January 1st or January 2nd, last Friday, to begin that dispersion. And then all of a sudden you saw a bunch of these Mag 7 names break down on some consolidations, like Microsoft in particular, looking not so great after losing some support levels. All right, so you got my screen share up. I can pull up some charts even while I talk.
Absolutely.
So you can see like Microsoft breaking down out of a pretty big support level on Friday. So a bunch of these names weakened out a good bit. Apple started to sell yesterday, lost a major support level. But then again, if you're looking at like an SMR catching a really big bid on kind of that January effect over the course of 3 days, OKLO finally they enabled this Bitcoin to be able to run a little bit. So that's the trade that I was looking for, really starting at the end of December. Like I said, you had to be patient for it. You had to wait for the beginning of January. The question now is, after we've had a couple pretty big days, is there still room for this stuff to run? And I think that the trade is a little bit more difficult. I'm a really big believer in not chasing price. I tell my traders all the time, you want to anticipate that the moves are going to happen and not react to the moves after they occur, because that inevitably leads to chasing price and getting a worse risk reward on your trading. But I do think that some of this stuff can still have legs, especially if any of those names got like a recent upgrade or analyst action that could potentially, push it a little bit further. So I'm looking at that stuff. And then honestly, my number one idea for today that I was gonna mention to you, if you want to jump right to it, is Tesla short. Which we talked about how bad this chart looks and how bad the news is that came out with additional competition from NVIDIA in the self-driving space, how bad the numbers look in Germany that came out this morning, the additional competition. I think AMD, Lisa Su, had like a different robotic company up on stage yesterday that was not Tesla. So bad looking chart combined with increased bad news has me looking for kind of an inside and down setup here in Tesla. Anyway, I just threw a lot at you, so I'll turn it back over to you for your thoughts.
That's great. That's exactly what our group wants here. I'm just going to start with Tesla here. Do you have any price target for the down move on this? Like, for example, would you like to see this down near 362, which is where your 200-day moving average is? Or you just, I'm just wondering if you have any type of target.
Yeah, so I'm currently game planned for $80 lower from where we're currently trading. So a move down to about like 370, 380 is where I'm currently looking for. Obviously, that type of move is so big, it probably can't happen in a vacuum. We probably will need some market help. And honestly, I'm really bullish on the market. So what I'm doing is I like Tesla short a lot. I think that the chart looks really bad, all the bad news and everything that we discussed, but I'm being long the indexes at the same time. So I'm long some Qs while I'm short some Tesla and managing the position that way.
What do you think about a potential sell-off now that the calendar has rolled over? I know that some of the other thought was that, last year was such a good year and there were so many people in so many of these AI stocks that produced just incredible outsized gains that at some point selling for tax purposes is probably going to be required here. We've already kind of seen a rotation out of some of these big cap tech names, including ones that were tied to AI. Do you think that continues at all, or maybe even gets bigger and maybe that contributes to your sell-off? I know that there are people talking about a sell-off early in the year. Tom Lee said he doesn't think we're going to see one until the back half of the year. Any thought on the timing of it? I know you said you're bullish on the market, but any thought there on timing at all?
Yeah, so actually, inherently, when you have a really strong previous year, it typically makes January a really strong month. It just creates a lot of new money flow that is forced to come into the market as the new year kicks off. So I think when you look at the technicals of the SPY or the S&P, which are sitting right in front of all-time highs, basically making a bullish consolidation in front of all-time highs within the confines of broader consolidation, which is actually a bull pattern that I really like. And you think about that in terms of also the money flow that's coming into the market in January as we kick the year off, and the fact that January tends to be a really strong month. I think that the market's gonna really hold up and be strong through at least through January OPEX. I honestly think that it's more of a mid-February story. I think that when we get to mid-February, then you'll get through a lot of that big money flow that I'm describing that comes in at the beginning of the year, and you'll hit a point where maybe this thought process that I can't get out of my head because, I think 85% of the stock market's gains in 2025 was from AI.
Yep.
The entirety of the economy in 2025 was basically AI. The question is still really forefront in my mind on, does the CapEx lead to the revenue necessary to justify that CapEx?
Mm-hmm.
And I still kind of think that the answer to that is no, but this is pretty big picture. And I don't think that just starts playing out here today on January 6th.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Too much money flow coming in.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, especially with the flows. I've been kind of watching that the last two market days here. The other thing that you had mentioned there, maybe we get through January. Traditionally, February and March are the weakest months for stocks. My only hang up about that, Derrick, is that we looked at seasonality a lot last year, whether it be September, November. We talked about the Santa Claus rally. We had arguments in our chat about the Santa Claus rally and when it started and when it ended, all of that. And I'll be honest with you, the seasonality trends that have been in place for a long time, a lot of them were broken. A lot of them were not adhered to. And that gives me a little bit more hesitation about February and March. I'll be honest with you, I know they also say as January goes, so goes the year. So I'm trying to pay attention to what signals the market is telling us right now. And I'm trying to not overweight seasonality, which didn't really help me in the back half of last year. So interesting outlook there on the first couple of months here, the first quarter of the year.
Yeah, so I'd love to make a comment on that. Yeah. Seasonality is something that I really pay attention to, and it's really important for my own trading. So first of all, when we think about seasonality means that in historical years, something tends to happen. And there's no such thing as 100%. So you right. Take September as an example. September is historically the worst month of the calendar year. We very regularly have red Septembers, but mm-hmm. September in 2025, we had a green September. Right. But a couple things to think about. One is actually, when you think about the nuances of that particular month, it was a September where we had a non-recessionary Fed cut. Well, when you actually do the research on Septembers that have non-recessionary Fed cuts, there's not too many of them, but almost every single one of them have been actually positive months. So that helps enable you to kind of buck the trend of seasonality. And the other thing that you want to think about with the seasonality is, so for many, many years in my own trading career, I was like, seasonality is hogwash. I don't pay attention to seasonality because, like I just described, just because something happens in the past does not mean that it has to happen in the future, and every single circumstance is unique. Within the last 3 to 5 years, I've actually really changed my thought process on that, and seasonality has become really important to me because I learned why seasonality actually exists. Seasonality exists because there are certain periods of the year where money is forced to flow in certain ways for various reasons. And that's what actually creates a seasonality of impact. So when you are looking at seasonality, you can't be as simple as, oh, this week of the year, we always go up, or, oh, this month of the year, we always go down. You have to study, well, do the traditional flow of funds that create that seasonality effect, are they actually in play for this calendar year as well? And if the answer is yes, then you're probably going to get that traditional seasonality impact. And if the answer is no, then you're not. So I'm actually now a big believer in seasonality, even though for years I kind of poo-pooed it. But I really want to understand the nuances of, is this set up the same way as those previous years to enable it to happen?
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And that really just kind of touches on a point that I was just making prior to bringing you on, that it's those that actually understand things that are going to perform better. Seasonality, that fits into the same thing. A lot of really good stuff here so far. Trade with Derrick all next week for free in his Pro Desk virtual trading floor, January 12th through the 16th. We had the link in the chat. The QR code is, of course, on the screen as well. Derrick, the other thing that's going on here is CES. So we just finished talk about big tech stocks, AI. I know that's a huge thing. You had a lot of stocks that you're looking at going into 2026. Do you have any plays or any watches that are specific to CES or what we might hear out of that presentation? Presentations, excuse me.
Yeah, so it seems like it's a little bit turning into kind of much ado about nothing insofar as, Nvidia and AMD and what they've said. Like there's some interesting things there. And obviously, Jensen Huang is the ultimate cheerleader for his
Right.
company. I just pulled up the chart of Nvidia. The all-time high here in Nvidia is actually from late October, but that was when Jensen Huang was at that conference in Washington, D.C., where he was just pumping the hell out of his own company.
Yeah.
So he has a habit of being able to do that. I'm long some NVIDIA right now as we're talking. I'm long NVIDIA.
Okay.
I'm long Intel. I'm actually short a little bit of SOXL at the same time, kind of trading both sides there, a little bit of the semiconductor trade to kind
Is
of
that
hedge
like a
myself out a
hedge?
little bit.
Is that like okay.
It's a bit of a hedge, more shorter term on the extension to the upside in SOXL, while I have the NVIDIA and the Intel longs on it at the same time. But I think with the NVIDIA chart overall, it's a little bit disappointing yesterday's candle because there's a little bit of a breakout failure, but this pattern is still fully intact. So I think that NVIDIA still looks really healthy here. If we can start to get through this like 190 to 192 area, I think that this thing can start to really run and wake up. But is CES going to be the catalyst specifically? I don't know. I'm not seeing anything that's getting me too excited about it. But it's a great looking chart, and NVIDIA has been going sideways here for months. And if this thing can really start to break through this 190, I know some people have been pointing out like a little bit of a potential head and shoulders pattern. But if you can break up on that pattern, It becomes a failed pattern, and from a failed pattern, you get a fast move.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, really good breakdown there on NVIDIA and just CES. The next question, this is the big thing that's going on right when the calendar turned over here. How are you trading, if you are, any of the Venezuela news?
So I was a little bit lucky that I was swinging Chevron long
Hey,
over the weekend.
Sometimes better to be lucky than good.
and I, as a side note, whenever I lose money, no matter what, I will never ever attribute that to luck. That is 100% my fault if I ever lose money in something.
That's a good way to look at it.
When I make money on something, sometimes I could attribute that to a little bit of luck. And swinging Chevron long over the weekend and getting the gap up that occurred, that's luck. There's no way that I could have known that. That was not my play. I was not in Chevron because I think that we're gonna take Maduro out of Venezuela and do regime change and everything else. I take
it. So really quickly, I take it that wasn't your bet on PreMarket that kept getting doubled down on that this would happen by the end of January. That wasn't you, just to be clear.
Unfortunately, that one was definitely not me. So when you think about the impact of it, the first order effect that you want to think about is the impact on the price of oil. Mm-hmm. And it actually sounds like, based on my research, that the impact on the price of oil is going to be pretty muted. It will lead to additional supply, but it sounds like that additional supply is like 2 to 3 years out because they've got to get everybody over there to start pumping and put in all the work to get to that point. So, it sounds like oil is not going to really be giving us a dramatic move, but that doesn't mean that companies can't. Right. And part of what you're seeing get bet on here when you look at Chevron, when you look at ConocoPhillips, when you look at SLB, is actually some of these companies, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but like Chevron and ConocoPhillips are owed billions of dollars from the government of Venezuela. And I think that market participants had written that off as money that's never going to be seen. And now all of a sudden there's a probability that they actually get paid out on this, tens of billions of dollars that are owed to these companies. And that could be, significant money plus the additional work they can begin to do there going forward. I particularly like the OIH related names even a little bit more than the XLE related names, because again, you're going to have to have the oil services companies get out there to actually start drilling and doing all the pumping before Chevron can, make its money further.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, Chevron and ConocoPhillips, those were two of the stocks that we talked about the most after this news broke. Full disclosure, I actually took a long swing on COP yesterday, the February 105 calls. I'm looking for a quick move, and if I get it, I can actually roll those up, perhaps even exercise those depending on the strength. As far as the CVX stuff, just to kind of put a bow on this, the U.S. oil and gas stock with the most Venezuelan exposure is, in fact, CVX. It is the only major U.S. producer still operating in Venezuela under a special treasury license. You outlined some of the money that's owed to them from Venezuela. That's my thesis for ConocoPhillips. It's owed $10 billion plus from Venezuela for assets that were seized over a decade ago. And to me, that sure seems to mean that it probably has the most to gain here in the short term. Really good point there about how long it's going to take to actually get those refineries up. I think we're looking at like an 18-month time horizon, so I would factor that in as well. But okay, really good breakdown on all of that stuff there too. Let me see, I had one more thing here for you. Yeah, okay, so we kind of already touched on this. So if you just kind of want to summarize this, if you have anything else you want to go into, I'd love to hear it. But are you expecting more of a rotation out of big cap tech? If you're long NVIDIA right now, probably not, but maybe at some point this year. Where do you see big cap tech finishing this year?
So
I know I'm asking the hard questions today. Sorry, we get them out of the way early in the year.
So many things can happen over the course of the year. Inherently, when you're asking me where do I think that big cap tech is going to end at the end of the year, you're asking me where I think the market is going to end at the end of the year, because the top 7-10 companies of the NASDAQ, I don't remember the statistics, it's like 52% of the NASDAQ or 48% of the NASDAQ, something like that. And on the S&P, it's also just a massive number, 30-something%, I think, of the S&P is like those top 7 Mag 7 companies. So it's almost like you're inherently asking me where the market's going to end on the year. My expectations from big cap tech and from the market are not as bullish as most of the sell side analysts that are out there. I'm expecting a lot of volatility this year. I think it's actually going to be a great trading year because there's going to be a lot of volatility. I bet that we see at least 10% corrections this calendar year just off that volatility, which that's higher than the historical average for sure. And it's the midterm year of the election cycle, which is historically, when we go back to seasonality, what we were talking about earlier, that seasonally is the weakest year in a 4-year election cycle. So my expectations is that we're actually going to see a lot of volatility and probably end up going nowhere by the end of the year, which means that it's not going to be a great year for investors, but it'll be a great year for traders.
Okay, and I'll tell you what, if it's a great year for traders, it's going to be a great year to continue to bring you and your crew back every single Tuesday. Folks, trade with Derrick all next week for free in his ProDesk virtual trading floor, January 12th through the 16th. QR code is on the screen, link in the chat. Derrick, do you have, this has been absolutely awesome. Do you have anything else that you want to cover or mention before we get you out of here today?
I think we went over it. Tesla just made new pre-market lows as we're chatting. Down 0.85% with the Nasdaq here being small green. So you got the relative weakness coming in. That's going to be a big focus for me today, and we'll see how the trade plays out. But it's it's one of 23 positions I think I'm in right now. So
okay.
Talking my book a little bit.
Hey, you know what? That's quite all right. Derrick, we appreciate it. And all of the insight that you bring here is to a wonderful 2026. I look forward to having you back. All right, boss?
Thanks, Ryan. See you next time.
You got it. That is Derrick Oldensmith from T3. Really good stuff there across the board. A lot of breakdowns, a lot of stocks that we're familiar with as well. And hey, I hope he's right. A really good trading year for those of us that are active all day, every day, or at least almost every day. Should be a great year for us. We're going to do the best we can to absolutely smash S&P returns on that. Okay, really good stuff. We got just a couple of minutes before we bring on 13 and do the movers and the pre-market pulse. I think I wanted to do a very quick street tweets. It's going to take me a while to get that one down, but let's take a look at a couple of really quick street tweets here. First one, that is the platform. Was I supposed to do something, producer? I can't remember if you had those graphics loaded in here. Let me see. I don't see them. All right, let me just try and pull the tweet itself. It's not going to look great, but we'll do it here. First one is going to be this. And this is a theme this is the AI theme. I know we've talked a lot about some of these other AI stocks, like the obvious ones like NVIDIA and AMD and all of the ones that are just pretty much directly tied to AI. This one I thought was interesting. We've been asked a couple of times about Upstart throughout the course of the year last year. And I came across this. Truist Securities initiating coverage on Upstart, buy rating, with a buy rating, and a $59 price target. The analyst says Upstart runs an AI-driven underwriting platform that matches borrowers with 100-plus bank and credit union partners using non-traditional data to predict credit risk more accurately than traditional FICO-based systems. From the company's inception, Upstart's core offerings anchored around Gen AI, including its underwriting model. While its model offers significant improvements to traditional credit models, it is still highly exposed to the credit cycle. In our view, offers investors a levered way to play U.S. easing rates and stable improving consumer credit. That is courtesy of Arvind Ramnani. So Upstart getting a pretty good rating here. Goes on to say that this should benefit from the credit cycle and the easing interest rates. Thought this has an AI angle tied to it. Not one that I own or not one that I trade regularly. I know some of the folks from our group here have asked about this one. This is one I'm going to keep an eye on here. And we're starting off the year with a pretty good rating change and also a pretty good price target. The other tweet that I wanted to show today, this is on a theme that we've already kind of talked about. I had mentioned yesterday about ConocoPhillips, ticker COP, really kind of being the play that I wanted to go after. I will once again shout out Lion yesterday telling everybody to wait a little bit. That's exactly what I did throughout the course of the day. I waited until that $97 was confirmed as the intraday bottom. And then I ended up buying February 105 calls. I think the price was close to $98, maybe $97.75 here. We've talked a little bit about the theme, what's going on here and all of that. Then last night, got this piece of news here. Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and ExxonMobil representatives to meet with the Energy Secretary Wright on Thursday. That was from CBS. So I think there's more to be had here on this trade. I think that the three companies that are mentioned here are probably the three that are going to get played the most. ConocoPhillips is the one that I've chosen to play on this. And I think we might be getting some headlines here pretty soon that are going to affect these stocks. So the reason I'm highlighting this tweet here today, it feels like foreshadowing. We'll see if we get anything Thursday or Friday that will affect any of these companies. Keep it under your hat. All right, let's go ahead and get back to Pro. Let's see if 13 is here. Not yet. As soon as 13 gets here, we will go ahead and take a look at the movers. We'll break them all down for you. We'll get the catalysts ready to go. We'll get you some levels that you can take a look at here today. In the meantime, while we wait for 13, one of the things that I want to do here, we want to talk about the big winner. I already got called Ondis Daddy, Ondis Gangster. You pick and choose. Whatever. Here's the chart. So a couple of things on this. Number one, I know on this last run that we had up, everyone was getting excited. We talked about it every single day. And when it eventually rolled over a little bit, which is what stocks do, they go up and down. When it eventually rolled over, one day had a viewer in here saying, I bought this at 10. What's going on? And so I just want to highlight the chart here again. This is something that we've talked about a lot, whether it's a swing trade or a day trade. You really want to not try and chase the green candles. And in fact, Derrick just said earlier, he doesn't want to chase price action. That's not what we should do. The price action that we've seen here recently on Ondis, it's great that we broke through the trend line that we had identified. It's great that we recaptured the 20-day moving average. It's double great that we took out the high 1170 yesterday and effectively have a big breakout now on our hands. All of that is great. But this action right here, this is the action that you actually want to trim into and sell into. And again, I've been outlining my trading plan with this whole thing. I definitely intend on holding a lot of this stock, at least 1,000 shares forever, which means that in the meantime, I've got to get some of my gains booked here. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the move. So my next trim spot that I already have an order out there for is at 15 even. I'm not in any rush to trim anymore because I am going to try and adopt, as mentioned yesterday, I'm going to try and adopt the Jay Rice model where we don't just trim 2 or 3 times, we trim 6, 7, and 8 times just to maximize the run. The big move off of the bottom has already happened. A majority of the shares have already been sold and gains have been booked. Now we are in the phase of managing our winners, and this might take a long time here. So a great looking chart here on Ondas. The other thing I want to say is I'm just, again, I hope folks made money off of this one. I know a lot of you have already said that. That's absolutely fantastic. Look forward to more of this. Look forward to more of this coming forward in 2026. Okay, let's go ahead and start our next segment. And folks, I know we told you that it's going to be more segment based here. And I know it doesn't feel like that because we don't have all of the animations and bumpers, but I promise you they're coming. Nonetheless, I'm still going to try and train you for it. The pre-market pulse segment of our show starts right now, and we couldn't get it done without 13. So let's bring him on. 13, how? Whoa, we got a little bit of a delay there, bro. That wasn't even my fault. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. How you doing?
Oh, I'm okay now. Good morning, everybody. How's your Tuesday going?
It's going really good so far, man. No complaints here. Again, as I say all the time, every time I wake up in the morning, it is a blessing, and I feel pretty awesome about that. How's your Tuesday going?
Oh, it's going just fine. It's just another Tuesday.
Well, unfortunately, this Tuesday has CES going, so
right.
we might have some more stuff to take a look at. What do you say we go ahead and attack some of these movers right now and get you ready for the market day?
I like it. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Ryan will need to beatbox some transition music. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Cam, I appreciate it, and I love where your head's at and where your heart's at, but I don't think I can do that. Okay, first, you're good. First stock here is actually going to be Alumis. Ticker on this one is ALMS, and the Alumis shares are trading higher after the company said top-line results from its phase 3 Onward 1 and Onward 2 trials of one of its drugs, and I'm not going to embarrass myself with here today, in moderate to severe plaque psoriasis met all primary and secondary endpoints. Okay, so good phase 3 data meeting the endpoints. Plaque psoriasis is something I see advertised on TV all the time. No, there's definitely money here. Stock took a huge move higher here. This stock closed at $8 yesterday. It's up 132%. It had a pre-market high right around 19 and a quarter. We actually just set a new high here. We had one pullback to the 9 EMA as well as the VWAP. Stock went higher. We are seeing our expanding volume here in the pre-market. This is definitely something that we want to see continue in the regular session if we're looking for some more upside. Understand that the stock is already up 133%. I took a quick peek at the financials. I'm assuming 13 is going to take a look at that as well. They do have some cash, but it looks like they also spend a lot of cash. So we'll wait and see what 13 has to say about that. We'll take a quick peek at the short interest here. 13.03% of the float is shorted with 2.66 days to cover. It's notable, but it's not incredibly high. And also that comes on an average 100-day volume of 1 million shares. Now, today we've done shy of 14 million, so we're way over the average. Shouldn't be a problem, but just note that there is some short interest in there. Float on this just shy of 30 million at 29.7. So 13, what do you think here on ALMS?
Well, if we look at their financial position, they do have a lot of cash, and they did a lot, even more in short-term investments. So I'm looking at that as them having a significant or sufficient amount of liquidity to, continue on, because they did burn like over $110 million last quarter, but it's typically not that much. It's usually less than 100 million. They had a positive quarter last quarter, but they're still going to have to raise capital at some point. I just don't think it's going to be that soon. They have to bring this phase 3 this drug that they this developed to market now that we're on beyond phase 3 and met the primary and secondary endpoints. So that's going to require some capital unless they partner with somebody. We also had news that this was going to be announced yesterday at 5 p.m. There was a headline that they would have a webcast to report phase 3 onward top line data. And that's what we got today. So as far as the chart goes,
let me stop you there. I didn't even catch that. I love that you pointed that out. I love that you pointed that out, because as your day wrapped up yesterday, if you were a Benzinga Pro customer and you saw this, you could think, there is a catalyst for tomorrow. It outlined when they were going to do that. Remember, I told you that yesterday. The news we got about Ondas was that they are going to have a conference. I think it was an Investors Day a week from this Friday. So shout out to the Benzinga Pro newsfeed for being able to kind of prepare you ahead of time for that. 13, that was a really good mention. Tell me about the chart, though.
Yeah, this chart makes me a little nervous because if you look at a daily chart, I think this is important to look at this. We were selling off after we started this year. We sold right after Christmas. We sold right off. We absolutely cratered. Went from $11 down to under $8 and hit the 50-day SMA yesterday. And then we get the news and we blast off to new all-time highs. I think we're going to come back in, and I think we're going to come back in pretty good. This is a really large move. This doesn't mean that the company suddenly gets revenue and everything's going to be fine. I don't know how long this extension into the upside will go. Maybe we go past 20. We're headed there right now as I speak. But as soon as the market opens, I think I'd be treating this with an extra abundance of caution because this is a very large move. And I think that it could end up, we could end up seeing profit taking at the open. If we do end up getting all that, then we can look at some of these EMAs and the VWAP as downside areas of support. But I still think that this is going to end up coming back in. The float isn't too large; it's not too small either. 29.7 million. But that's just how I feel about this stock right now. This is it's a really nice move. So if you were in it prior to the move, you're doing great, but I don't think I'd be buying anywhere up here. I have a really large concern about this coming back in.
Okay, really, really good breakdown there, 13. I think if this does come back in, just kind of looking at some spots to reload, we have the VWAP here at 1697. The last time this thing came into the VWAP, it overshot it, and it overshot it by more than $1. So while I would like to say that 1697 might be a pretty decent load point, I actually think we could trade a little bit lower than that and then perhaps recapture it. So just pay attention to where the VWAP is. Also pay attention to what the volume is doing. Like 13 said, if this is going to pull back at all, you're going to see that reflected in some of the volume. And if that starts to change, then maybe there's 20. So literally as we're talking, 13. Unbelievable. Okay, a couple of things. I'm going to take a break from this real quick, address a couple of comments here in the chat. Tara, good morning. It's great to see you again. My beloved friends, that's very nice. How do we get hours back to where they were before? I only get to enjoy you for about an hour and a half into the open. Like we said yesterday, keep delivering the feedback. The producer's here. He's tracking all of that. There is still some stuff in flux here. I don't know that we're necessarily going to go back exactly to what we had before, but also keep in mind that we're still going to have other content going on. So you're still going to get Anne-Marie. That's going to run after 10. We're actually going to extend story trading because you guys like those gentlemen so much as well. So there's a lot of other stuff that we're going to do here, but keep giving us that feedback because that is something that we're kind of feeling our way through here. And then EKS saying that Benzinga's newsfeed also available on the Schwab Toss platform. Now, this is a little bit of semantics, but I really do want to quickly correct this. First of all, I appreciate the mention here because indeed we are quite proud that we deliver news content to all of these huge brokers. But I must be a stickler here. The Benzinga newsfeed is not available anywhere other than Benzinga. Our syndicated news content is available elsewhere, but the ability to control the feed, manipulate the feed, filter the feed to only show you what you want, I'm telling you that isn't available anywhere else but here in Benzinga and more specifically Benzinga Pro. But I think the larger part that EKS was trying to mention here is that, yeah, we syndicate our news all over the place. Okay, back down to the movers here. Next one that I have on the list is going to be AZI. This is AutoZ Internet Tech. We've traded this before just on kind of a mover off of the scanner before. You can see their stock closed at about $2. It has already ramped to above 340 here today. We're pulling back now. Stock is holding up by about 50%. AutoZ announces strategic cooperation agreement with China Auto Maintenance Parts Alliance to focus on jointly building nationwide maintenance parts supply chain platform. And it's an absolute mouthful right there, but that's what's going on. They basically have a new strategic partnership and an annual sales target of $200 million. That's what's driving the stock higher here today. Again, holding higher by about 50%. A quick peek at the short interest reveals 6.27% of the float is shorted. That is on 1 day to cover, and that 1 day to cover comes on an average 100-day volume of 3.4 million shares. Today, we've traded over 13.5 million. The float on this one, right in our wheelhouse, 13, just over 2 million shares. So what do you think here on ticker AZI?
Well, that pre-market price action is giving you a bit of a trend line that has been suppressing the upward price action. And if this doesn't break out of here, after we open or before we open, I think this one also might come back in. Another thing that I was looking at here with the 50-day SMA on a daily chart, this is traded up to that moving average quite frequently last month and was rejected at that same moving average every single time. So I have a little bit of a concern with the relationship here between AZI and its 50-day moving average. Is this going to be enough to take it past the 50-day SMA? I don't know. But if we do manage to get past it, I would say that $4, that area around there, that's going to be an additional layer of resistance as it was previously support. So those are a couple of things I was looking at with AZI. I didn't quite take a deep dive into this one. They only report, I think, 2 times a year. So it looks like they're profitable as of the past year. So good on them. Balance sheet probably could do with a better cash position. I really don't have a great read on their financials, but the stock, to me, I would say that the trend line that we pointed out there, if you want to draw it yourself, just
this is the top side one, right?
Yeah, just the peaks from the there you go. I would kind of lean on that as they have to break above that in order for continued upside. And if you do break above it, then that becomes that trend line becomes support. So that's what I would be watching with AZI. And just keep in mind that 50-day SMA has been a real bugger for this stock.
Yeah. Okay. Let me actually write that here in the notes. 50-day moving average thick with 3 C's. Resistance on that one. Okay. Next here on the list is going to be CYCN. This is Cycloron Therapeutics. You can see this stock was about $1.30 yesterday. In the after hours, popped and held above $2. Today, I think what I like the most here, we traded down to the 65 EMA and held it. We also held $2 even here on this one. News catalyst on CYCN. Yesterday, again, in the after hours, they announced a strategic agreement with Medsteer, probably, and progress towards initiating a phase 2 proof of concept study for one of its treatment-resistant depression. So it looks like this is a drug that's going to go after depression here. Let's see, expanding its collaboration. I was just seeing if there's any more information on the news. So that's what's going on here. Collaboration and progress towards initiating a phase 2 proof of concept. We take a quick look at the short interest on this. 4.22% of the float shorted with 2.41 days to cover. To me, this is fairly negligible short interest. I would almost put this in the normal category. On average, the stock trades just over 500,000 shares. Today, it's traded shy of 30 million. So I don't think the days to cover is going to mean anything at all here. No. Float 3.13 million on this one. Again, in our wheelhouse. 13, what do you think here of CYCN?
I'm always a little concerned when it comes to stocks that have their news the day before, like in the after hours, and they go on their run. And then that kind of carries over into the morning. The morning won't, I mean, in more times than not, we've seen it, stocks like that not go on these incredible rallies like they do if they had the news come out that morning versus the day before. So I don't believe we're going to see too many fireworks. I think a lot of the fireworks kind of went off after the market closed yesterday. Hopefully I'm wrong about that and this provides some trades, but that's just what I've observed. And I'm just going to, keep an eye on things to make sure that that's still the case. As far as the company goes, they have plenty of cash based on their current cash burn rate, but it's only $4.5 million. They just don't lose a whole lot of money. I just would be a little bit concerned about them needing to raise capital soon. And I don't know if they need to raise capital, for this partnership or this agreement with Medsteer. but it's not a significant amount of cash. So I think that would be something I'd be keeping an eye on as well. Aside from that, you have a little bit of a trend line you could draw from the highs of the pre-market.
Yep, I'm with you on that. That gives us the target.
That gives us a little bit of a target to shoot for. It's been getting some really good support from the 65 EMA ever since yesterday after the impulse move and going into the pre-market. We tested that 65 EMA. I've been continuing to ride it ever since earlier this morning, almost since since we've been open in the pre-market. But I would say if we lose the 65 EMA, that's going to be the earliest signal that this is probably going to be done for the day. But until that happens, let's hope for the best and shoot for that trend line.
Okay. That works for me. Really good breakdown there. CYCN. And you know what? Our movers list is changing around here. It looks like one of these just had a pretty big piece of news. So I apologize for not being prepared for it. We're going to have to take a look at this together. The stock in question here is ELAB. This is ticker ELAB. PMGC Holdings is the name of the company. The stock closed at about 637 yesterday and made a huge pump higher here up to 12. It was actually up over 100% briefly, although it's pulled back a little bit, holding it higher by about 60%. The news here is that they're announcing a strategic share acquisition in micro modular reactor focused nuclear energy company, Nuclear Energy.
And they did a 1-for-4 reverse split.
And they did a 1-for-4 reverse, which was effective today. Good call. There's a lot of stuff here in the news. Announces share acquisition in Nuclear Energy. Okay, so I don't see any other tickers or anything like this, so perhaps it was a private company there. Nonetheless, ELAB here is your ticker. Reverse split, 1-for-4. It's trading higher here. That probably means that I don't have an updated float figure, although I can probably ballpark it for you here. Oh my gosh. I mean, this said it had a float of 743K. That would have been prior to the split. So this thing would be a micro float if that's correct. 5% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. On average, the stock trades 198,000 shares. Today, it's traded just about 1 million. Super, super low. Whatever the float is here, we can deduce that it's super low. And this is going to be one that likely has some volatile moves. Hell, we're already seeing it here today. So that's what's going on here with ELAB 13. Does the chart tell you anything?
Well, it's just getting started here with this movement because this hasn't been happening for very long, and it's kind of changing our scanner around. I haven't looked at this one, so I don't know, what's, exactly aside from the headlines, what's going on with it. Let's look at the financials real quick. Seems like they've got some cash, but it doesn't look like they've got a very long cash runway. It looks like they'll be through all of that in a couple of quarters, maybe 3. As far as the daily chart goes, this is coming off of it looks like it's coming off of a bottom, and it's trying to recapture some levels. We actually, we're now at the $10 area, so this is certainly come off the bottom around $5 where it was trading. I think last week or a week before. If this continues to climb here, I have 1250 as a potential resistance area, and then the 65-day EMA. We might even hit 1550 as a resistance prior to that, but that would be the next 2 upside levels I have for resistance, be 1250 and 1550 prior to the 65-day EMA.
Okay, that's awesome. And I was just listening to you and slacking here. So can you give me those resistance spots again?
Yeah, sure. So that would be 1250, 1550, and the 65 EMA. And I gotta, add,
which is 17. Okay.
Yeah, and I gotta add that it's the 65 EMA and maybe even 1550 could probably be stupid levels, but we just started to see this go, and it might have legs. I don't know. It's coming off of a bottom that it's been putting in for a couple of weeks now. I don't know how high this goes, but if it does go on a run, those would be the levels I'd be keeping an eye on, because that's where I see the most significant resistance.
Okay. And remember, folks, I think one of the keys here, we've identified that this is a super low float stock that just endured a reverse split. Please be careful with this. Yeah. Adjust your position size accordingly. This is one of those stocks that if this thing goes against you, it can really, really be painful. So just factor that into your plan. Sorry, 13?
I feel a little bit silly. I just looked at a 5-minute chart after looking at the daily. We hit 1250 in the last candle. So we did hit that 1250 resistance already.
Very close. Didn't quite tap it, actually. I have the high print there Oh, never. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. It did, in fact, tap that 1250. Hey, pretty good resistance area, 13. Well done.
Yeah. So we'll see if it can recapture VWAP here on the 5 minute and go on to hit 1550. But 1250, that's the resistance for now.
Yeah, and Abel here, indeed, it is a reverse split. So I apologize. I know that was a little bit janky when I first read the news here. Shout out to 13 for keeping me honest on all of that. We basically have two things going on. 1-for-4 reverse split effective today, and then the share acquisition of Micro Modular Reactor, or MMR, Focus Nuclear Energy Company.
And some folks were mentioning KIT and OPTT, and hey, no problem for the mention. I'm kind of excited about the drone space and underwater drones. And we had news that OPTT is getting a contract, a DHS contract with their partnership with Anduril. So we're already getting some of the news. This is looking great for some of these underwater names.
Okay, well, I was just going to go down the movers list here. We don't have to, though. We can go to some. There's one more that I definitely want to get to here. What?
Drug? DRUG?
No, but we can do that too. But I just wanted to go to OPTT here. We've got 10 minutes. Excuse me. We've got 10 minutes till we open, so we should be okay here. You said there was news on this. This is a penny stock, went from 35 to 42 cents here. Ocean Power wins the $5 million DHS contract. Okay, so this basically is support. We're not there yet, but this is support. We're on the right track, right? And then the other one was KITT that you had mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know if that one had news, but that's the other another underwater drone stock that could end up getting a lot of attention. They mostly do like undersea exploration and they're like maintenance robots. So I could see that being kind of like an oil exploration and maintenance kind of thing. Drones going to be big in that space, by the way.
Absolutely.
But this one may end up getting a look from certain military defense advocates. So we'll see. If anything ends up happening with KIT, I'm a little bit more on the Ocean Power Technology side because obviously they're already getting contracts.
Yeah. Okay. I tell you what, maybe this is the next penny stock to double-digit dollar stock. Man, maybe. I don't want to promise anything because I don't know, and I haven't done nearly the due diligence on that I've done on Ondas in the past. So I don't want to pretend like that's the case, but interesting nonetheless. Okay. Let me really quickly, the only other one that I wanted to cover here was going to be AEVA. So we'll do this and then we'll go any direction that you want here. Okay. AEVA, this is Avia Technologies. The stock closed at about $13 yesterday. Boy, we traded up towards $18. Backed off of that spot a little bit. We have traded sideways here. So although we backed off the impulse move, which I think is normal, we really haven't broken down yet. And stop me if you've heard this before, but we seem to be using the 65 EMA as some support there, which is great. We'll see if that ends up holding up here. We do have news here for today. Avia, how do you say this? Ava? I'll go with that. Ava introduces Omni, the first compact wide-view, short-range 4D LiDAR sensor for physical AI applications. 13, we talked about maybe sensors, inputs, imaging devices as a potential theme, and now we're seeing this come here. So pretty awesome stuff there. That's what's driving this higher here. We can look into the PR if we need to. Stocks up by about 26%. Short interest on this name, higher than some of the other ones we've taken a look at. 31.95% of the float shorted with 3.97 days to cover. Not nothing there. The days to cover, though, on average, we trade 2.1 million shares. Today, we've traded 2 million prior to the open. I got to think we're at least 2x the volume here today, so probably won't matter. We'll see. 13, what do you think here about the chart?
Well, I was looking at the chart. I was trying to find some more information on the company, and wouldn't you know it, because CES is happening now. This is one of the companies that is at CES.
Partnering with NVIDIA, yeah.
And they are at booth 6919 in the West Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center if you're interested.
Okay, and really quick, Jay, I appreciate that. I read the news here from this morning, and I apologize. The news was actually continuation from the big piece of news that popped it yesterday. Avia and NVIDIA are going to integrate this 4D LiDAR that we talked about. So shout out to you, Jay. I'm sorry that I missed that. You're absolutely right, though. This working with NVIDIA, you could pretty much summarize it that way. But 13, I like that you got the location of this place. That's awesome.
Yeah, and since it had this first impulse move that took it to 1838 yesterday, it's been sideways and kind of compressing. So we could even kind of draw some trend lines here. But this looks like, to me, it's going to choose a direction as soon as we open. Hopefully it's up, but it is just kind of in this sideways consolidation. So as long as we hold above the 65 EMA, I would say that that's a good sign that we're going to climb higher out of the gate. There's resistance up at about 17. That was, we did get above that a couple of times this morning and in the after hours, but we didn't stick around above that level for too long. So I think that that's going to be the earliest big resistance area I see on the chart. If we do happen to get past that, then I would say 1750 to 1760 is going to be the next resistance area. It's if you just kind of like draw a rectangle, you can see how that 50-cent range has prevented the upside from happening all morning. So I guess kind of would need to see the price get through all that if we're going to continue to the upside beyond.
And you're saying 1750 to 1760 or
no, 17 to 1750.
17 to 1750. So here you go. So I'm basically going to plot this out just to kind of give you, there you go. And that area, and look at that. The trend line is basically going right through that. So
right.
If we get above that as well.
I think that's what I'd be keeping an eye on. Just if we break that trend line and we hold above it, then I think we want to look towards 18 getting taken out.
Okay. Then 17, then 18. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just making some notes so we can run this down in the wrap-up segment near the end of the show here. And by the way, I know you guys have been asking us to stay on a little bit longer. So with no Anne-Marie here today, I will start the wrap-up maybe 5 minutes after we're supposed to already be off. So you'll get a little bit more time with us here today. That shouldn't be a problem. We'll make sure that you're all set up going into the rest of the day, rest of the trading day for you. Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover specifically from this list? I saw that Izzy was asking about Zeta earlier.
I only looked at one other company that was on the movers list. That was Drug, DRUG.
Let's do that and Zeta, and then we should be ready to go.
They had a phase 2 breakthrough with their BMB 101 drug. They are going to be initiating a phase 2. My understanding is the phase 2 trial with that same drug in Q1 for the Prader-Willi syndrome. This particular breakthrough was for the absence seizures study. So that's what's going on with drug. I think that there's still going to be another, situation where they're burning through cash because they have to undergo another phase 2 trial here. Let me double check there. Okay, so they have plenty of cash. They have got 82, almost 83 million. They're only losing about 4 to 5 million a quarter. So looks like they've got plenty of cash. As far as the chart goes, I think I pulled it up here. As far as the chart goes, we are trying to get back up to 132.23. That was from the morning when we got the news. It took us up to 132.23. We've been trying to climb up there ever since. Looking like this is about to roll over as we approach the open. So I think I would be waiting for the first move out of the gate here, which I think could end up being down towards the VWAP. So that's what I'd be waiting for here with drug, is to, when we open, watch for some selling. That's what I'm anticipating to happen. But if we do get that VWAP support, should see it turn around.
Okay. And Kathy giving us the good stuff here. Drug can't purchase this through Schwab unless you call. FYI, I love warnings like this. Thank you, Kathy. Factor that into. Okay, we've got 2 minutes here. We're going to wrap it up with ZETA. That's Zeta Global Holdings. This popped in the after hours yesterday. Zeta Global shares are trading higher after the company announced a collaboration with OpenAI to power conversational intelligence and agentic applications behind its Athena platform. So much like the Avia partnership with NVIDIA. Here, this is going to be a collaboration with OpenAI. That's what's driving the stock higher. Now, it is worth noting we are at kind of a support level here. We'll see if this rolls over. I've got 2450-ish really as the upside resistance area. We'll see if we get there. Short interest on this name, 10.6% of the float shorted with 5 days to cover. So that is a little bit elevated there. On average, it trades 7.29 million. Today, it's done 1.1. Floats 215. So it's pretty thick here. 13. I'm going to step away right before the open here, but I'm going to leave the Zeta chart open. What do you got for us?
Okay, well, this looks like it's trying to make its way down towards the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. That's going to have a value of 22.85, so we're getting pretty close to that. If that does not provide support, then I think that there's even better support down around just above, or I'm sorry, just below 22. If you look at the price action from yesterday, there was a clear topping out. There couldn't go any higher than about 21.85. Kept running up into this same area, getting rejected all day. So I think that's going to provide a good area of support should the price lose the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, come down further. It just looks like this is really going to end up selling off, and we're open. So let's see what we end up getting here with ZETA. Good luck, everybody. Looking around at some of these other ones here. So yeah, drug is trying to push higher, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. AEVA, okay, so we got our answer. The direction is down, we're breaking down. ELAB, this also coming in, could not recapture the VWAP. AZI, trying to push up towards that trend line, but I had my doubts about that one as well. I think we needed to see this one come in additionally. CYCN, this is trying to push up. It might end up getting up to 220, but I think that's going to be a bit of a tall order for that. That's not looking great for a lot of these names out the gate. I think we just want to sit on our hands and wait for some of these. Meanwhile, just looking around here. COP, that's getting hit hard. ASTS and Rocket Lab look hot these days. Yeah, Space is doing great, and I love Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab's gonna, I think Rocket Lab's gonna continue to do well. I mentioned a lot towards the end of the year about how they've got a lot of great things going on. They have an exclusive launch site for U.S. military. They're getting a lot of contracts. They're not profitable, but they're on their way. They are on their way. All right, let's see if any of these names are starting to turn around yet. So far, not yet. So ZETA, that went down to the 200, just went a little bit beneath it. Now it's recapturing. We'll see if that turns around. Drug kind of sideways at the gate here. AEVA, that also dropped and went down to the 200 EMA. That's rebounding. ELAB, this one is trying to pull itself back above VWAP as well. AZI is kind of sideways, but looks like this could also still go lower. CYCN, I think one more test of that 65 EMA is happening. Whether or not it holds up, we'll have to see. ALMS. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one of the stocks that we had talked about with Derrick from earlier was going to be Tesla. He had talked about a Tesla short here. Look at Tesla right out of the gate. Down we go. So that pop that we saw yesterday, we have completely retraced this. We are basically down to where we closed before. I would say we probably have some more downside if we snap that 435 to the downside there. So the Tesla short still working here.
Yeah, and sorry for being all doom and gloom this morning about a lot of these names. This is none of them were looking really that good to me, and they were starting to look like they were rolling over. I mean, now that we're open, it looks like all of them are. So I felt kind of bad, just like thinking, oh, this one doesn't look like it's going to go higher. Ah, this one looks like it's about to roll over. Sorry, this is just the way things are looking.
Yep, just it is what it is. It is what it is there. We trade what the market gives us, right? Trade what's in front of us here. By the way, NVO here, Novo Nordisk. I think I saw Lion talking about this earlier, but I couldn't remember. Oh, and also AZI. Kathy, I appreciate all these reports here. AZI unable to purchase that on Schwab as well. Novo Nordisk, really quickly here. This stock's up by just about 4%, and it looks like this might try and push higher here as it's moving off that 65 EMA. We'll see if that happens here. I didn't have any new news here on this. I know Lion was talking about this. Maybe I missed something. I apologize if that's the case. Let me know. Novo, pretty decent here today.
Buffalo Bob is going to lie to us. I don't want to lie to you guys.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either here. One of you mentioned that the oil names down out of the gate here. So here's a quick look at ConocoPhillips. It's actually still holding on to green, but indeed it did move down from its pre-market level. The other two that we've talked about quite a bit here, ExxonMobil, this one also kind of dancing around unchanged. And then also CVX, right? Chevron would be the third. Chevron actually still holding higher here. We'll see if that gets support at that 163.87.
I think we just need to be patient and wait for all of these movers and things that we were looking at just to, shake out, find some support, and we can start trading because out of the gate wasn't looking too good. But I sat on my hands.
Uber does look good out of the gate. I didn't really see necessarily a setup here, but a pretty big rip there on Uber. I didn't see any call flow for this. By the way, speaking of Zeta, wow. So that was probably a closing order, right? Looks like they bought the 20 call, 1,000 contracts of the 20 call at 435. I almost think that was probably a closing order there, especially with Zeta rolling over. I'm going to keep my eye on the unusual option scanner here, and I'll let you know if I see anything flow worthy. So far, nothing yet.
All right. Looks like ZETA. It looks like it's trying to turn around. It's still, fiddling with its 200, and keep an eye on it for a recapture of the VWAP. Some of these are still kind of coming down. Some are finding some support. Uber, just as a reminder, they are going to be at CES as well. So probably end up getting some news out of that. But I think the news that's moving it today is its renewed partnership with TomTom.
Okay, Tiny Pie here. A couple of comments here. Let me highlight them real quick. Tiny Pie says, Apple at an interesting spot around the November lows. And indeed, it's right here that Tiny Pie is talking about. Honestly, at this point, I'd rather this come in a little bit more. Show me 260 and then let me trade it against 260. That 100-day is down there at 258.32. By the time we get down there, it might be a little bit higher. And this also was a previous double top breakout spot right there around 259, 260. So I think if we continue to fall another couple of points here, you'll still be in a potential buy zone there for Apple. Apple down 1% here out of the open. And then the other one, Novo has the weight loss pill out. Thank you. I knew I saw something like that earlier, but I missed it with all the stuff that was going on. Yes, I bought Novo around 45, and I also bought Merck. You like Merck as well. And Wisdom, hello. Hope you have an amazing day too.
Yep. Have an amazing day, Wisdom. And we got to mention about Redwire from
RDW. Got it.
Yep. So that one now trading over 10, and this is another space play. I don't think it's had significant number of news. It just has one headline here about them successfully completing payload integration for an upcoming European technology demonstration mission. So that's what it's moving on right now. Would like to see this back up where it was near the highs last year, but I think we still have a little bit of a road to go with that one. It went up to 1057 yesterday. It was great, but don't know how high it's going to go today.
Okay, Jay here saying they're running a few of the healthcare names. I think Pete was talking about some of the healthcare names earlier. Let me roll through those here real quick. CNC, this is up here today. This chart actually looks like it wants to go higher. I know I'm only looking at a couple of days of price action there, but boy, that sure looks biased to the upside to me. Here's Humana. This also popped higher after a pretty good day yesterday. And I think, what's the other one? Why am I blanking on the ticker? 13, help me. The one with the big thing that Warren bought. What is the ticker? UNH. Thank you. Jeez, Ryan. God, new year. I'm just going to blame a lot of my shortcomings on the new year until I don't have any more. UNH also higher out of the gate here. And then Oscar was the other one that was also a Tim Melvin pick, I think in a 15 handle. Oscar here looks like it's trying to take out yesterday's intraday high there at 17.
So we're getting some movement here in some of these names that we were talking about, the movers. CYCN recapturing at 65 and VWAP, those two levels. We'll see if it can continue upward here. We have ELAB that's halted to the downside. AEVA, this is also trying to recapture some of those levels, the 65 EMEA and the VWAP. That's going to be more of resistance at this stage now that it's on the price on underneath those. Drug, this continues to print some lows. Same with Zeta.
OPTT, this came into the 65 EMA. Again, penny stock, so be careful. Uber continuing to trade higher here.
We already talked about Redwire. Sida Space, that's also having a really good morning. Just blasted off up to 430. Getting a little bit of pullback here, but this sold off yesterday because it had gone on a massive run. And it looked like it was starting to find a bottom here. So maybe it has found some support and it around the $3.75 to $4 area, and it looks like it's trying to turn back up. So if we can get back up towards 465, which is the next upside resistance that I have, we might be on our way to higher highs here. It looks like CYCN is still trying to push up. We'll see if that ends up going there. Lots of sellers in the way around 230.
Okay. Real quickly here, AMD, Tris G mentioning AMD, big move down. You know, we talked about some of the chip names there. The rotation out of big tech has been a theme. I was asking earlier if we saw some more of that. Looks like we're actually getting divergence here. NVIDIA's trading higher, AMD trading lower. Also, Tris G, let me know if is your handle at all related to Hermes Trismegistus by chance? Just, I know it's kind of a random question. Just kind of wondering. Nonetheless, though, AMD, big move down here. Remember, Lisa Su also presenting at CES. CYCN, you guys talked about this. Looks like this really needs to break 220 to go higher. And then you guys are also talking about penny stock EVTV. Apparently, the volume flow was pretty good on that. Here's EVTV. That did take out a set of new high. Sorry, 13.
Thinking about it, also mentioning Terra Innovatum, that's NKLR. This had a nice 8 to 10% move. Went up to 630. It's backed off a little bit. Let me look and see what kind of this is not moving out a lot of volume. It's you know, having some nice movement today, but we've only traded 316,000 shares. So this isn't, you know, really putting in a whole lot of movement. You know, be careful when you don't have a lot of volume like that, because that illiquidity can, especially if you're using a market order, that can have you hit smaller, you know, higher prices and then watch it sell off. So be very careful with NKLR. I don't think you want to jump into this right now at this height. I think maybe wait for it to come lower if you're going to try it at all. But for me, I would need to see more volume if I was going to put a ticket trade in this one.
ELAB is open. This has just moved straight down from that impulse pop. Remember, we talked about this being extremely low float here. This thing's still kind of hunting for a bottom. Maybe it gets down to 703, which is where your 65 EMA on the 5-minute is, and perhaps find some support there. Also, really quickly, while 13 was popping off there, I took a look at oh my God, excuse me. I'm sorry. I took a look at Apple here. This continuing to move lower. So let's see if we get 260 here today, Tiny Pie. Might think about taking a look at that for a short-term options trade if we get down to that level.
I'm just keeping cycling through these movers to see if we're going to get any of those reversals we were looking for. Some of them still getting some support from the 65 EMA and turning around. Others already moved through their 65 EMAs and are trying to deal with their 200s.
NVIDIA, this turned around. So just when I said that this was diverging from AMD, now it looks like it's following suit. AMD continuing to trade lower here. 216 looks like it's coming. Oh, I'm deep in puts. Tiny Pie getting ready. I want to see an epic fist pump. Jeremy just closed 80% of SMR calls.
Nice.
Now SMR, so I know SMR, this was higher in the pre-market and it's rolled over, but if you look at the past couple of days, Jeremy, this looks to me, based on what you're saying here, that this was a pretty successful short-term swing on SMR, and for that you will get a register ring. Really good stuff there. Boeing, this was another stock that I thought was going to have a pretty good 2026. Looks like Boeing might be trying to move higher here. This chart also looks very similar to the Dow. So we'll see if Boeing ends up moving higher here. 230 currently on Boeing.
Looks like Zeta is starting to get some attention. Coming up to the VWAP right now, trying to recapture it. It's got a pretty decent looking formation here. There's the lower shadows underneath the VWAP. I'm sorry, underneath the 200 EMA. If we can recapture the 200 and the VWAP and close above those, then I think we might be getting a turnaround here in Zeta. AEVA, that looks like this is kind of trying to break out to the top side now. After it dropped down to the 200 EMA, got support, reversed, went back up, and now we're taking out some levels here. So let's see if we can. We had those levels already out that we mentioned. That was like 12. Is this one that was this was the one that was the other one that like 1750 to 17 to 1750. That was the EVA. So we went right up to that same region and got rejected. That same sideways channel.
By the way, when you had said attention, you had said it in a way that reminded me of Die Hard 3, where Bruce
attention.
Willis, attention, Nils is dead. I repeat, Nils is dead. Head, And your friends at the East German All-Stars, they're going to be a little late. Sorry. That's just
I think that was,
get me going.
I think Die Hard 3 was my favorite one, to be honest.
You know, I used to think that when I first started watching the movies, but I think I've bounced around to all three of them, depending on when in the year it is, because two of them are Christmas movies. Take that thinking about it. Okay, back to some of the stocks here. AEVA, we'll see if that does break higher here. CYCN, right back down to that 65 EMA. I'll be honest, 13, I don't know about you. I don't trust any of these movers yet.
No, they're not very trustworthy, are they?
No, they're not. Tesla, maybe that sell-off is slowing down. So too might be Apple. That doesn't make any sense. Apple also might be slowing down a little bit there. And a couple of you, sorry, 13, if you need to get in there really quick, a couple of you were talking about some of those oil names pulling. Looks like they're trying to bounce here. Here's COP. We'll see if that's trying to trade back up here. CVX.
AEVA.
Maybe. AEVA. Let's do it.
Yep. This was getting some good moves there. It's still coming up into that same sideways channel that was giving it trouble earlier this morning. So we haven't gone through that yet, but if we get up to 18, I think we're past that channel, and we might see some better price action with AEVA. But so far, nice reversal off the 200, broke through some of the downtrend lines.
Okay,
we're in the 17s now.
Okay, ALMS. Oops, that was ASST. ALMS here. This is another one of our movers. Looks like this is doing its absolute best to hold this VWAP here. This also kind of lines up with the impulse high from the pre-market, so maybe a potential bounce here on ALMS. You had talked earlier about this one maybe needing to raise, but maybe not needing to do it right away. So maybe there's a trade here.
Yeah, there's one seller that keeps trying to push it down from 1950. You see this seller right in here? I don't know if you look at your price. You're looking at your price ladder, but there's a large seller. There's a large seller at 1950 that keeps preventing this from going a whole lot higher. Now they're stacking up even more orders beneath that. So somebody's trying to walk this down. We just need to get a large, whale or somebody or a lot of volume to come in and take out this seller. But until that happens, I think he's going to try and push it down some more.
And you said that was at 1950. Yeah. So that's interesting because when I look at I turned on the volume profile, and when I look at these volume nodes, we have the volume point of control there at 1969. So it's just about 20 cents higher than where you see that big order. What's interesting about that is that when I actually look on the price ladder there, it does look like there's a very clear stop right at 1950. So I think that just signifies that is absolutely a key level that we're going to need to take out. But keep in mind that 1966 may also come into play. Yep. I'm going to hide this just so the charts look a little bit cleaner, but I'll leave it on there in case we need to revisit that.
AVA looks like 1750 is going to have a good concentration of sellers. We're going to need to see a lot more volume to get through that. Like drug is trying to reverse off the 65 EMA, very, very slow moving, low volume. Zeta, this looks like this is trying to recapture the VWAP. It just got above the 200. So maybe there's some reversal happening here in Zeta. I'm glad we waited for these because
Me too.
These were not looking great. So now we're getting some really good setups. The 65 and the 200 EMAs have been pretty good for a good majority of these. Especially AVEA. I mean, AVEA, that was just excellent. Right off the 200 EMA, and we went higher ever since. Looks like CYCN is also trying to get a lift here, running into some trouble at about 225. A lot of sellers in the way too. I'd be a little bit cautious with CYCN. We need to see more volume with this one.
Yeah, I can feel like this could really move through 220, 225 is that resistance area. But your really good point about the volume, we're going to need to see that pick up in order to do that. You guys are saying NVO stalled out on the news of that pill. So it actually looks like it's just kind of struggling with the pre-market high. Let's call it 58. How about that? Let's call it 58. That should be your breakout level NVO. If we get that here today, stock's already up 4.3%. Pfizer, this was making a move higher right out of the open. Looks like that stopped at about 26. All right, let's check in on AEVA again. Carlos here saying AEVA, come up to 750 and I am out. Carlos, are you selling partial there? Are you selling the whole position from the 200 EMA bounce? We're going to let it run at all.
ALMS looks like could lose the VWAP. Be careful with that one. CYCN, this is still trying to push into the beyond 225. Lots of sideways action in some of these. AEVA still trying to push higher. ELAB coming off of the 65 EMA. I mean, we went right down to the 65 EMA with this one. And
yeah, remember, this is the one that is super thin too. Really quickly here, Triples Macy saying, any thoughts on why Apple is dropping so much? Well, take a look at Apple. It's only down 1.26% here right now. I don't really think there's necessarily a reason. Just kind of feels like maybe more of that rotation out of big cap tech. I know Apple's kind of bucked that because it's not so much the AI angle here. I will say this is the area that Tiny Pie was talking about. We said that would really kind of like this to come in a little bit more to 260. I would actually like that. Maybe we can come in here to 260. I guess you could also kind of make the argument that there's a little bit, let me get the brush there. There's a little bit of a head and shoulders here. I don't know how much I love this so much, but I'll leave it on there. We'll see if we end up trading down here on Apple.
Yeah, it looks like Amazon, Google, and NVIDIA are the ones that are green today. Amazon up.
Look at Amazon.
Good. Yeah, Amazon up pretty good today.
Izzy, how you doing on Amazon? I know this was a monster scalp for you yesterday. Looks like we've got some more continuation here today. Again, not going to chase the green candles higher here. I guess the dip to the 200 was definitely viable. We did that yesterday too.
CYCN really looks like it wants to take out 225 and go higher, but there's so many sellers in the way. I'm nervous about it.
Now that ALMS, that chart's starting to look interesting to me. We pulled back off that high. We're really kind of holding the VWAP right now. This is kind of slowing down, maybe getting ready to curl here. The way that I would look at this, what do I have VWAP at here? I've got this at 1881. Current price is at 1930. If you're going to try it right here, I would still kind of put a tight stop at that VWAP. Better still, I'd like if we actually came down and tested that VWAP closer. I'd like this a little bit more if we could break beneath 19 into the high 18 handle and then hold and recapture. But the chart's starting to look fairly interesting there.
AEVA still trying to push higher beyond 1750. It did print a little bit higher, but not able to get all the way through that consolidation yet. Need to see some more volume. Hopefully we get some support with this trend line now that we've moved over it.
Carlos, it looks like we got your 1750. How did that trade end up?
Do we have any entry for oil companies? I haven't looked at the oil companies yet.
So I did take a swing on this. Yes, as mentioned yesterday, I didn't actually get filled until we were after the show, but I had mentioned that I was looking at COP. Once COP held 97 here, and there might have been somebody yesterday asking about the 97 level, but it was near the end of the show, and I was running through a bunch of other stuff, and I missed it completely. If you were here today, I don't remember who it was. If you're here today, I'm sorry about that. 97, as soon as this held 97, I thought, okay, I'm going to start to leg into this with calls. So I'm looking for COP here. Remember, they had like more than $10 billion worth of assets seized. So in the short term, possible outperformer here. We'll see if we retest 97 here today. This moving lower. Let me actually check CVX. That was another one of the oil companies that we had talked about. Oil companies here moving lower. The price of oil also moving lower. That was higher this morning.
Yes, but they're so when we're talking about the oil companies and as it pertains to Venezuela, we're always going to be talking about Exxon, Chevron, and Conoco. So those three, they're all kind of doing the same thing where they're trading inside all the price action from yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. Now, one thing that's interesting here, I love that my trend lines, my drawings, I keep them on here, and sometimes they come back and surprise me. I had a trend line here for ExxonMobil. I drew, I don't know how long ago, but we just hit a trend line.
Really quickly, sorry, 1950 up here on ALMS. They're testing it. There is a huge seller there that you outlined earlier, but they're actually hitting him. Now, let me go back to the daily chart here for XOM. You want to help me add this trend line?
Yeah, go to a daily chart. Start with February 9th of 2023 and draw it through the high of September 28th, 2023.
September 29th, 2023. Where are you? September. Okay. And then through where?
So start with February 13th or 10th, whatever, of 2023. The high from February 2023 dropped through the high of September 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me delete that. Man, I'm struggling with the trend line here, 13, not normal. So this is, I think, February right in here.
There you go.
Here you go.
Yeah, and just keep it going.
And let me extend this one out. Yep. Oh, look at that, 13. Look at that. Okay.
So we hit it on my chart. I completely ignored the highs from 2024 because I started this trend line in 2023. So here we are hitting this. If we can start closing above this trend line, I think that would be bullish for more upside. But we haven't had too many closes above this historically in the past, 2 or 3 years. This has only had maybe 5 closes above it, 4 or 5 closes, maybe a little bit more than that, but not very many.
Okay. So. Really quickly here, Kathy's saying oil drilling stocks will likely fare better than oil stocks. Do you think that that's because the price of oil is going to move lower? Just elaborate on that. Here's the mention here from Kathy. She goes on to list stocks like RIG, NE, and VAL.
Why do you think those fare better than
that's kind of what I was asking.
Because I feel like we're going to have too much oil at some point and not enough refinement. That's kind of the thing I'm on. And Tintin, I think you're absolutely right when it comes to those particular drillers, especially when it pertains to Venezuela, because Halliburton and SLB both had assets or have assets in Venezuela that were seized, as does Baker Hughes and Weatherford. So they could benefit from all this.
Here's Rig. Remember, and we're also getting that meeting with several of we covered that in the street tweets segment earlier. We're getting a meeting for several of those oils companies with Secretary Wright, Energy Secretary Wright. That happens on Thursday. So I am expecting some more movement here. Also, Jeremy had mentioned that the Rig chart looks pretty interesting here. Jeremy goes on to say Rig has an interesting chart. 200-day is starting to curl up. This chart actually looks like it wants to move higher. He goes on to say they're going to continue to get contracts as well. Tess here agreeing with Kathy, saying infrastructure should be the focus.
Okay, wait. Was which one? What was Kathy saying? Was she?
Kathy Kathy was saying that the drilling stocks likely to be better than the oil stocks, and I think Tess is agreeing with her.
Okay, so infrastructure I agree with, but I don't necessarily think that the drillers they're kind of like a very start to oil extraction. But you have pipelines, you have refiners, you have carriers. There's a lot of different ways to play oil. Some I think are going to do better than others. I think the midstreams are probably going to do better than the drillers, and I think anything that has to do with refinement is going to have to do better than drillers. I think we're gonna. It's gonna be another good year for natural gas.
Me too. By the way, sorry, 13, for interrupting you. Well, I'll give you plenty of time here to finish that thought. But the market trading higher here. So I know we had a little bit of it was lower initially in the pre-market, then it was higher. It kind of sold off right around the open. Here we go. Higher we go here on the SPY. And by the way, ALMS. I know I had talked about that looking like it was going to start to curl. I would have liked it a little bit closer to the VWAP. Well, here we go. We actually, on my broker, it actually shows that we broke the VWAP. I have the price basically right down at the VWAP here on ALMS. I'll be honest with you. This is the area that it's got to hold, or I think probably we'll have to look at this a little bit later. Wait it out.
We're getting a good mention, Michael, on drugs starting to bounce. It did get support from the 65 EMA. It is trying to turn around, dealing with the looks like it's going to have an issue with the 105 resistance. It's coming up to that level right now. We'll see if it can get enough volume to push through that. Another one that's been doing pretty well, but still struggling to get to 18 is AEVA. This one continued to print some really good highs. It hasn't quite hit 18 yet. Got as high as 1790, but still looking pretty good, or above the trend line now. Hopefully we get to use that as support.
I love that we got Carlos's 1750. Now
Yep.
it looks like 18 next here. I think if we do break 18, maybe we pop above. This is why I was asking Carlos earlier if he's going to sell all of it or if he's going to sell partial and wait for a potential move higher and then scale out of that. The support that I mentioned for ALMS, no reason to be sorry, no problem at all. Sometimes I talk fast. ALMS, I was basically looking at the VWAP as support. I have the number here at 1884. I had the number a little bit higher in my broker, but still in the same area. Reality here, this has broken the VWAP. So now, if you were trading this, if you were in this would have been a stop level. If you're not in this, what I'd be looking for next is a potential recapture of that 1884 level and then a move higher. Would like to see that on corresponding buying volume, which we're not necessarily seeing yet. So it's not just the level here, Supric. It is also the action of the stock. Right now, doesn't look like this is trying to go higher. Just keep those levels in the back of your mind.
We had Side of Space get over 10%. That's doing pretty well. Momentous from yesterday, starting to show some upside here, but it's not up too much. And we are getting red wire to pull back here to 10 now.
Okay, so Space maybe revisiting the launching pad before taking off.
Yeah, as SpaceX now does.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, folks, we're going to get started with the wrap-up segment here. We're going to wrap up all of these different movers, and I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate not only the kind words and support for the individuals here, me and 13. Obviously, also the producer makes this all run together, so we appreciate him as well. But please keep giving us your feedback. We will continue to discuss with the team, and we will see what we can do, especially about extending it for a half hour here. So I really appreciate it. But let's go ahead and start with the wrap up 13. I'm going to start here with just the list of movers that we had identified for you. First one is going to be ALMS. And while we had talked earlier about this having sufficient liquidity right now, it may need to raise, but it may not be soon. We did end up getting that move through the pre-market high up towards 20, but we didn't quite hit it. Now we've lost the VWAP. So as far as I'm concerned right now, until we can recapture that VWAP, maybe we come in towards that 65 EMA. That's down at $15. But until we recapture the VWAP here, don't feel great about ALMS. Do you have anything on this one that you want to wrap with?
Yeah, this one, this was the one that I was saying that we had this huge move off the 50-day SMA and went up into the 20s. And I was saying that this looks like this could sell off because it's such a big move up over the previous day. Certainly enough, that's what we're getting here. It looks to me like the next support is going to be down at 18. And if we lose that, then as you pointed out, the 65 EMA. So if we start to hit those, look for reversals. Don't know if we'll get them, but we need to recapture that V up if we're going to print anywhere in the 20s again.
Okay. Next here on our list of movers from today is going to be AZI. We had talked about the trend line for more upside. It really needed to get, we did not see that here, so we haven't had any more upside. You had also mentioned that the 50-day moving average represented some very, very thick resistance, and that hasn't been taken out either. You have anything here? This is basically settling near the VWAP, so this might not be done yet. What do you think here on AZI?
I was mentioning that 50-day SMA because, last month, that's where it was topping out at and getting a lot of resistance and reversals. So still think until that, we start closing above the 50-day SMA, we're going to continue to get that pressure from it. Looking at the 5-minute chart, we did lose VWAP and could not recapture it. So that, to me, tells me we might experience some more downside. To the downside, though, the support levels I see are going to be about 285 and then the 65 EMA. The value of which is at 271.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, next one here is going to be CYCN. We had talked about this one having some support at the 65 EMA. Indeed, it did that in the pre-market, did that once again here in the regular session. I guess that could have given you a trade, although we really didn't get any carry through on the move up to 230 there. Now we've rolled over. We're basically right at the VWAP. We do have the 65 EMA, again, not far below us. So as far as a trade goes here, I'd be looking to cut this if we cannot hold that. The $2 level might also be some support and a possible target from the pre-market trend line, which I don't have on here. I'll go ahead and add it. I think it's from these two highs, 13. But any thoughts here, CYCN?
Yeah, this has been in a sideways pattern since the news broke yesterday. And typically, as far as I have seen, when news breaks the day before and then the move continues into the next day, you're not going to see as much of a pronounced move in the regular session.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really got that yet. So maybe there's some more coming later today. I wouldn't be sitting around waiting for it. It is encouraging that the 65 EMA is continuing to provide support. But the moment we lose that and start closing underneath it, we did get one close underneath it and recaptured it right away. But if we start getting multiple 5-minute closes underneath this 65 EMA, I think the party might be over.
Okay, good stuff there. ELAB is going to be the next one here, ELAB. We had talked about this one having multiple resistance spots. Those resistance spots were 1250, 1550, and then the 65 EMA at the daily. Oh, I have to load the right chart here, Ryan. Come on. The 65 EMA on the daily, that spot was 1767. None of those got tested. In fact, this thing was straight down out of the open. It did lose the 65 EMA. It toyed with recapturing it. But folks, I think this is one you can be patient on. Wait for it. This is super low float. It's been nothing but selling since that impulse move. No reason to be a hero on this one. Any thoughts on ELAB?
Yeah, all the sideways price action going into the close and in the after hours and pre-market today, that's all created a demand zone, which we've come down to now. And it looks like it's starting to reverse. So maybe it does end up reversing. We need to see a recapture of that 65 EMA and then subsequently go up to the VWAP, which is at $8. But I think that supply zone down here where we're at right now, that's probably going to be your bottom for today. We'll have to see if we get it to turn around here. It's going to have to see the volume flow in order to lift this back up. But we need to recapture that 65 EMA if we're going to go any higher. But we have the 200 right beneath it. I think that this demand zone is going to help lift it up a little bit higher. I just don't know how high.
No doubt. Last stock from our list to wrap here is going to be AEVA. This is Aviva Therapeutics. We talked about 17 to 1750, then maybe 17 to 1760, and then 18. This did have a nice bounce off the 200 EMA already today, and it's holding higher here. So now it sure looks like 18 is going to be the next resistance level. I've got VWAP down here at 1686, so I really don't think this is a buy yet, but this is the areas that I've got. What do you think here on AEVA?
Yeah, it would be great if this ended up back testing the trend line, and which is right about where the VWAP is right now. So if we get that and this the VWAP provides support that reverses the price action, then I think that this could go on to go beyond 18. How high beyond 18? Don't really know. Maybe we get into the 20s. I'm no guarantee with where this ends up going because there's still a lot of resistance above 18. So I would say that maybe 20 is your best bet if we do get above the $18 mark, but we need to see that support from VWAP kick in first.
Okay. Really good stuff. That concludes the wrap up here. Thank you, folks. And there was also a really quick mention here. You guys are mentioning some of the storage names, and I think it's probably worth taking. I'll actually go to the bigger chart to do this as we sign off here because these are all ripping here today. These were huge winners last year. These are definitely playing. We've talked about the RAM and memory shortage and issue and all of that, and all of these stocks play into the same thing. Here is Western Digital. Stock is up another 10% here today. I mean, oh my God, these things are absolute ragers. SanDisk, we got asked about this yesterday. We didn't really spend a whole lot of time on it. It didn't really do a whole lot yesterday. Today, totally different. Up another 23%. That's SNDK. Look at this move. I cannot advise chasing these price candles, guys. If you have this, these are the moves to lighten into. Not necessarily chase this, and I really don't feel good about shorting any of these names. STX would be the other one, and then followed by Micron. All of these charts look the same. 13, any closing thoughts on any of these memory issues? I know this is something that you've been deep in.
Well, when it comes to Micron, they've already sold all their high memory or high bandwidth memory capacity, so they're going to continue to roll it in. I think memory is going to be a big theme this year. I think with Micron in particular, they could go on a similar NVIDIA style rally. It's just so high in demand, and it's going to be a component that every data center needs. So I would expect there to be some pullbacks eventually. We are getting to be a little extended here on Micron, but it can certainly go further. Maybe this rips up to maybe 350, 375 before we finally get big pullback or a correction, but a correction is coming in a lot of these names.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's why I don't necessarily. I want to wait for that, right? Like even a move back down to the 20 might be all right here on Micron. Micron, SanDisk, STX, etc. There will be a time when the GPUs will choke off the hyperscalers as memory makes up 2/3 of the cost. So closing thought there from Jay. Really good stuff here today, folks. Again, just want to point out that we're habitual line steppers here. We push the envelope a little bit. We've already given you an extra 10 minutes here, as mentioned earlier. We will continue to toss this around with the group. We'll see if I can convince 13 to stay on a half an hour later as well. We'll see what we can do here for you. But for right now, that's going to do it. 13, excellent job here again today, as per usual. We'll see you on happy hour tonight and then again tomorrow.
Sounds good. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Okay, that is 13, folks. We are out here for today. Again, keep the feedback coming. We appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. If you want to keep up with us, I know the producer's talking about a potential Discord here. That's cool. That would be sweet. We also have existing chat rooms in Benzinga Pro. QR code is on the screen. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.